I came to Cahors for the first time about 20 years ago, and at that time I visited a couple of properties, Trigadina, and I visited also Haute-Zère and Le Cèdre, and they were doing good things at that time, but there were very few other people that were doing really very much at all. And so when I came back 10 years later on holiday, I thought I'd better bring my own wine with me. I brought a case of Châteauneuf-du-Pape just to make sure that I had something to drink. And very nice it was too. These days, I don't need to bring any wine with me, I'm pleased to say, because all the wine I could possibly want is here in Cahors. The improvements that have been made over the past 20 years, and certainly the last 5 to 10 in particular, have been extraordinary, and I won't go into detail as to what the reasons are. I think most of you here know that there's much to do with investment, to do with viticulture, with winemaking, with the arrival of excellent consultants like de Renancourt and now Paul Hobbs, another very welcome entrance here. So what I think I'd like to just conclude with really is the interesting results of a tasting that I did with Master of Wine Tim Atkin and Master of Wine Gérard Basset, who was made first sommelier in the world this year, just recently actually. We did a tasting blind for the World of Fine Wine just over 6 months ago now, where we tasted 40 Malbecs, basically, roughly half from Argentina and roughly half from Cahors. And we all went in with prejudices, as you do normally. You go in with prejudices into tastings, but of course one thing that a blind tasting does is it sorts your prejudices. And I would say that I certainly expected the Argentinian wines to trounce or beat their French rivals in the blind tasting, probably because they were the sort of reds that don't need tannin-taming food to show at their best. But that was actually far from the case when we finally saw the results. Argentina took 2 of the top 3 spots, but Cahors had 4 wines in the top 10. Were we always confident of being able to distinguish between the 2 countries' wines? To our surprise, we were not. I thought I could, and there was a distinction, but not always. There were some Malbecs from Cahors which had a surprising degree of ripeness, softness of tannin, suppleness of texture that were delicious. We all agreed that the best Cahors were riper and suppler than we expected, though tannin levels tended to be a little bit higher and drier in the French wines. But the fruit levels weren't far behind the Argentinian Malbecs in many instances. Also, the Argentinian wines themselves were less of a caricature than we'd expected. But what did the tasting teach us in the end? Well, we came to sort of 3 main conclusions. First, that while Cahors and Argentina make very different styles of Malbec, the differences are not as marked as they once were, largely because Cahors is making less austere wines. And I think something that Bertrand Vigouroux told me when I saw him a couple of years ago, when I visited Haute-Zère, is that he finds that there's less difference between Argentinian and Cahors Malbec than there is between Cahors and Bordeaux. Secondly, the other interesting conclusion was that, and this may be related to warmer seasons or just a later picking, but the success of Argentinian Malbec has certainly encouraged some producers in Cahors to change their styles, although many of the best wines remain, and hopefully always will remain, quintessentially French, and we won't have a standardization of Malbec that perhaps some people would like, but I think that Cahors clearly, and we've seen from the complexity of the terroir, as we've seen this morning, that Cahors has every possibility of producing many different styles of its own kind, along with many different qualities. And the final conclusion that we came to was that Malbec is potentially a world-class grape, wherever it's grown, whether it's in Cahors or Argentina. So I just wanted to share that with you.